Ubisoft just can't seem to keep people playing their games for very long. Last year, The Division lost 93% of its player base within 3 months. And now, that exact same thing has happened to For Honor.
Game statistics website GitHype recently published an analysis about the player count in Ubisoft's online brawler For Honor. GitHype measured the Steam stats for the game and found that the player count had dropped by 95% after just 3 months. At release, For Honor debuted with around 45,000 concurrent players at peak times. Not bad, but it didn't even manage to reach the beta's peak concurrent of 71,000 players, despite pretty positive reviews from critics. But now, the player count has dropped to an average of 2,200 players per hour. That's a 95% drop in players in just 3 months. But why has everyone left the game? Well, there are a couple of big reasons if you ask us.
Issues with the game's balancing meant beginners were being put in matches against high-level players, so it completely put off players getting into the online portion of the game, which is pretty much the whole game.
The game, yeah.
Then there were the issues with the game's microtransactions, which became more and more of an issue as the game matured. They're flipping expensive, and one player found out it would cost $732 or upwards of a whole year's worth of grinding to unlock all the customization options in the game.
So this was the first time that this kind of really became apparent when this guy went on Reddit complaining about completionism. He was a completionist and he was telling the other completionists in the For Honor community, if you were thinking of playing this game through to the end and unlocking everything and being a completionist
without paying,
yeah, it's going to take you over a year. I think it was a year and a half that he said. So it was a really long time, or like $700 or something. Like that. You know, it's ridiculous. So there's far too much microtransaction in this game. It's very microtransaction heavy. So that was the first strike. The second strike is that there's only a peer-to-peer connection in the game. There's no service. So there's no server on Ubisoft's end, no third-party servers, no one that everyone connects to, so that's a nice and even experience that's a lot more reliable than peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer, you're just connecting directly
to other people's computers, and that leaves room for lag and stuff when you connect to others. Oh, if someone else like jumps out the game, you get left without a game whatsoever because you can't rematch halfway through the game because they've gone with the server that they were hosting on the game, which sucks.
No one has ever gone, damn, I wish it had peer-to-peer in the game. I mean, there's so many problems with it, as you just said there. It just comes with so many issues. Like, why would you want it? It's basically a cost-cutting measure for Ubisoft, so they didn't have to pay for servers down the line. But they've also put microtransactions in it, a shitload of microtransactions. So they can't even say, oh well, we need the microtransactions to pay for the servers. There's no servers. It's easy to see how this game just didn't have a lot of goodwill around it.
And all this led up to like they called for a boycott on Reddit. They actually got a response from Ubisoft saying, all right, we're listening to you, we're going to sort out some of the problems, although not everybody was appeased by that and they were still calling for the boycott to go on. I don't think it went on in the end. I don't know whether it did or it didn't. And all the people saying, oh, calling for a boycott, it's useless, they're not going to listen. Well, they did listen and they did start fixing the games.
They've got to listen because the player count is as small as it is. When a big part of that player count decides to not play it, that's a big problem. You know, the player base dropped off immediately, but the story here is 95% 3 months on, which is insane. GitHype have done this before. They look at stats of games, big games like this, and Ubisoft, they've got a track record, unfortunately, of having calamitous, drop-offs in players after some time. This doesn't mean they're going to drop support for For Honor. They'll probably keep it going for a long time.
So long as they're making that steel money, you know what I mean? There's microtransaction money.
Making that steel. It's so funny. Just call it money, innit? Why do they have to come up with stupid names for all this stuff? It's like, are you just trying to hide the fact that there's money involved in it?
Dirty cash is what it is. Filthy, dirty cash. This is what we think. This is the reasons we think For Honor player base started to dip. All the problems with people connecting, everyone being, pissed off with the microtransactions and everything like that. Let's not forget that the For Honor, the game mechanics of For Honor were really quite solid, Mike. You played it for a while. You appreciated it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was trying some new stuff. It's something completely different to like Chivalry or something like that, where you've got that first person like medieval melee action. This did something different. It was more tactical. It was more strategic. It was more about the decisions that you made and the way you played characters, and it was cool. They tried something new. They put themselves out on a limb. Unfortunately, the lesson they're going to learn from this, because it's Ubisoft, it's a big corporation, they're not going to go, people don't like peer-to-peer and microtransactions. They're going to go, damn it, people don't like new ideas. They don't like they don't like cool settings. They don't like cool concepts.
I mean, it was great that they came with a new idea, a new IP.
I like the aesthetic of the game as well.
It was great. It was like the vision of it. They're trying new ground. That's credit to Ubisoft for doing that. But why did they have to Ubisoft out of it. And if you guys have any better reasons as to why you stopped playing the game, let us know down in the comments. I want Ubisoft to become a verb, like to Ubisoft something, is to f***ing flog it to death, microtransactions and shit.
So for the players who stuck around with For Honor, Ubisoft did announce Season 2 of the game. GitHype measured that a slight jump happened in concurrent players when the Season 2 update went live. The peak player count shot up from 2.2 thousand players per hour to a slightly better 4.7 thousand players per hour. But once the Season 2 hype started to die off, it dropped back down to 2.7 thousand players per hour as of last weekend.
Can we just talk about Season 1 and Season 2? This is like the first time I've heard of it in a game. It's like, it's not a TV show, guys,
well,
for f***'s sake.
For For Honor, they've got this multiplayer meta game, so that you're winning battles and stuff, and you're claiming victories, and then you put that towards this overview campaign. So you're playing for, a faction. So you could be playing for the Vikings,
right?
But it doesn't matter who you play as. You could be a samurai fighting for the Vikings.
Yes.
So you fight for one of these three factions, and then there's control of the map, and then so that kind of winds up after that's a set period. So once that's over,
it's a new
start
season.
again.
That makes sense, because I was thinking it was something like season. They're trying to sell a season pass worth of content or something. I would not put them past them whatsoever to run multiple seasons, charging a season pass for each one.
Ubisofting the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For Honor is Ubisoft's third big game to hit the 90% drop-off rate in the past 2 years. Last year, as we've mentioned, The Division lost 93% of its player base in just 3 months, as well as Rainbow Six Siege, which did exactly the same thing.
However, at least with Rainbow Six Siege, Ubisoft reworked the game's pricing model and provided constant updates. The player base actually grew, and Siege often hits concurrent peaks of around 43,000 players according to Steam charts. Would it be possible for Ubisoft to reinvigorate For Honor in this way?
Yeah, well, maybe, if they apply the same thought process to For Honor, like they did with Rainbow Six Siege. Maybe the game will make a triumphant comeback if they can pull that off. But because this is Ubisoft we're talking about, none of that will happen.
Go on, carry on. People say that we lay into Ubisoft a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Maybe we do.
If anyone deserves being laid into, though, it's Ubisoft. I mean, they're a... Never mind.
We do enjoy playing some of the games sometimes.
Yeah,
but
no question.
The tactics that they employ to try and part us with our money, that is it f***ing hurts.
General attitude to their games as well. It's so transparently like, we need another Assassin's Creed here on the calendar. Let's put one there.
Yeah. So do you think we're too harsh on Ubisoft, or do you think we rightfully give them a lot of criticism? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here. There's some more content for you to check out on the screen right about here. And there's a link to Patreon right about here if you want to support us bringing you this gaming related content. We will see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.